Mrs. Mills waits in the dark for the red light to go on, and the curtains will be drawn so none could see. All the townsfolk, they don't know what the men do down below in the shadows of a disco neon glow. In the spotlight she lifts her wings high and sings like nobody before. Oh, holds her own as their hands they roam on the ivory that is her flesh and bone. Oh, and every suitor gets their own song. To none of them she ever will belong, 'cause no one takes a Mrs. Mills home. Mrs. Mills waits down the stairs, crimson carpet leads you there, leaving broken hearts, a trail of those who did. Mr. Wonder, then Sir John, Miss Madonna played by Paul. Even royalty, they have to leave by dawn. As they play her a sound like prayer, she sings like nobody before. Oh, holds her own as the sound unfolds. All the ivories are hers and hers alone. Still every suitor gets their own song. To none of them she ever will belong, 'cause no one takes a Mrs. Mills home, and no one's born to feel like they are owned. Mrs. Mills, Mrs. Mills, Mrs. Mills, Mrs. Mills. Mrs. Mills, if I could find you, I would never do you wrong. Mrs. Mills, could I oblige you? Would you play me just one song? Mrs. Mills, I am confiding, I have loved you all along. Mrs. Mills, Mrs. Mills, Mrs. Mills, Mrs.
Yeah, there have been quite a few songs taken up on similar topics. Mama of Genesis immediately comes to mind. A song of The Cure comes to mind. A lot of British artists love to talk about things like that. It's
Eddie Vedder is
surprising that to hear Eddie Vedder write on a topic like that, but it more or less sounded like a British song to me, you know, with the royalty and all that added in, Lennon and Paul and all that. It seemed like more like a British artist has written it or British songwriters. Could be wrong. Either ways, it sounded very familiar, the tune, you know, as if I've heard a similar tune or a couple of similar tunes before. The lyrics are definitely interesting. Now you could make you could reap or extract different meanings out of this singing of hers. What it actually means, each time singing a different song with every suitor who comes up to her room. So it could mean different things, what that means. I won't get too deep into that. But on the whole, it was an ordinary song. I found the tune nice. It is likable, but nothing special or extraordinary that I would, want to play it at home, especially when kids are around and things like that. Or even young women. I wouldn't want to play a song like that. So this is one of those topics where, one of those songs where it's okay for a listen for a reaction video like this. But other than that, a person like me wouldn't bother ever listening to it again. And that's my honest opinion. What about you, Kirti?
This was absolutely different for Eddie Vedder. I don't know what was he trying. Again, I felt the same thing, exactly the same thing. Was he trying to sound like British artist? And the name that first came in mind was the Beatles. Was he trying to act prepare something similar? They have that. What is the name of that song with the woman's name? Eve.
There's a song which is very, very similar sounding to this. The only difference here is that Eddie Vedder was singing it, so it sounded a bit different. But there's a pretty similar song to this. I don't know if it's the same song.
Which one?
I don't know. I don't remember it right now. But I know there's a song which goes, not the lyrics, the tune, the way it goes, especially the chorus. When it comes to the chorus, still every suitor gets their own song. To none of them she will ever belong, because no one takes a Mrs. Mills home. That part sounded pretty similar to a song I've heard and possibly reacted to a few years ago. Yeah. The end of it is pretty interesting. If I could find you, Mrs. Mills, I would never do you wrong. Mrs. Mills, could I oblige you? Would you play me just one song? Mrs. Mills, I am confiding, I have loved you all along. So the end is interesting. Excuse me. So does he actually love her in reality? Is he someone who keeps an eye on whatever is happening? Is he Mr. Mills, who's giving his point of view of what is happening with his wife? Because she's Mrs. Mills.
Yeah.
So is it Mr. Mills who's giving his point of view without actually saying it? But and he's possibly disappointed that so many people come to her for obvious reasons when the red light goes on, and he's just watching.
Well, most people don't call. In the profession, it's not called Mrs. something. So there's a lot
That's what
going
makes me
on
think
here.
that maybe it's Mr. Mills who's singing it.
Yeah, could be.
Because he says, I've loved you all along. I'm confiding, I've loved you all along. Maybe he wants to, he says, please think about me. Whatever you're doing, think about me. Who knows? So it's interesting. The end is definitely the only interesting part in the lyrics for me. Apart from that, as I said, wouldn't want to listen to it with anyone around, neighbors, family, kids, no. Because everyone will think I'm one of these people who goes to people like Mrs. Mills.
It's not just that. There was not much in it. There is a lot in it, yet it does not really do much for me. So it's as simple as that. I felt it is a rework or some, trying to be something that Eddie Vedder isn't. Yeah. It's as simple as that. We have reacted to not too many, but reasonable amount of music by Pearl Jam or Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
It's not him.
It's definitely not as classy and wonderful as Jeremy, as powerful as Alive. And Even
and
Flow.
vocally too.
Vocally, he's extraordinary in Even Flow, Alive, and Jeremy. These three songs. I was thinking of it whenever I listen to an artist, especially an artist who belongs to a band and now is traveling solo or whatever, or doing the solo thing too. I always try to connect the voice that I'm listening to with those songs that I liked of the artist or the band. And this was
ordinary.
Mediocre compared to. At times you wonder, is it the same Eddie Vedder in Jeremy that I heard in Even Flow, in Alive? So powerful, so wonderful, amazing. This was nothing like it. So I think sad, really sad that he's
it sounded
ordinary
desperate
now.
to me.
He's ordinary.